Hi there! So, with Wuthering Waves coming out in a few weeks, I should say that I, along with many others, are excited for it. Combat? Looks great. Endgame? It exists. Story and lore? Not talking about enough. Now I can see why. CBT1 was another dumpster fire trying to cook something good, but fails terribly at it because of glitches in mistranslation and confusing plotlines that exist for some reason. While CBT2, which had changed 99% of the story by the way, still kind of felt meh. That is until Scar first appeared.
He said what?
And I can definitely tell why. Now this kinda confuses me as one of the few people that does play Kuro's other game, PGR, and read everything that is in the global patches. If they can make chapters written by gods like Spiral of Kronos, Cinder Burns, Her Last Bow, and fucking Surviving Lusum of all things, then how can the writer screw this up? Now I can't judge the story this early, as this is just the beginning of Rua. I'm going to be a little hopeful that Kuro will do better for the beginning and go from there. After all, they did say that they will improve the pacing of the story, and some other things related to that. But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about lore. I'm a little curious about a few things. So I've made 3 theories about Rua's lore, each one being their own video, so subscribe if you're not willing to miss them. But before we actually begin, all the info comes from CBT2, so take anything that I say with a grain of salt, as it can change in the official release. So, let's not dabble around and get started. Today's theory is about our main character, the Rover. Who are they? Well, let's start off with the facts. The Rover's power is special and similar to the so-called legendary hero who was capable of consuming Threnodians, and by extension, other Tacit Discords. What are Tacit Discords and Threnodians, you might ask? Well, Tacit Discords, or TDs in short, are lifelike beings that consume the frequencies of other beings, like humans. A frequency is a combination of matter, information, and energy made from the lament, which are disaster events that bring about changes to the world. By consuming the frequencies, the TD's appearance, abilities, and behavior will depend on those frequencies that were consumed. Now, when they get enough of it, especially from humans, they evolve into Threnodians, which in simple terms are the most powerful types of Tacit Discords. Now, when Tacit Discords eventually die, they have a chance to leave a thing called an echo, which, unlike the Rover, who sucks them inside themselves, other people use Pangu terminals to catch them and use them in battle. Kinda like Pokemon in a way. So, how is the Rover capable of doing that? Well, it's mostly because of the person who is seen at the beginning of the game, the so-called goddess. She gave them their Tacit mark and the ability to absorb echoes. Possibly. Now, who the goddess is, well, it's a bit of a mystery. We don't know much, and it's a bit speculative, but I'll go through that in another video. So the next part I'll go through is when the Rover meets a potential future character called Jinshi. Jinshi is the magistrate of Jinzhou, and is one of the few people who can resonate with the Sentinel. Sentinels are divine guardians and guides that help humanity by sharing their wisdom and prophecies. The one who Jinshi resonates with is called Jue, the dragon that we see in the beginning. According to her, the Rover has the same powers as the hero who is capable of absorbing Tacit Discords. Again, the same thing that I said in the beginning. Now, I feel we have a similar situation as in Genshin, where the traveler we choose will change some words said by characters. Well, the same goes here. If we choose the female Rover, the person Jinshi talks about is feminine. However, if we choose the male Rover, the text changes to masculine. So, is the Rover the legendary hero? Well, to answer that, let's continue by showing a file. This file is a resonator file. All resonators have one and show what their powers do, where they come from, their chances of overclocking, etc. In short, this file details a resonator who has amnesia similar to the Rover and has a Tacit mark on their left hand. Keep in mind that the Rover has their Tacit mark on their right. If the file is talking about this hero, which it most likely is, then this could mean that the two are not the same person, unless the left hand is just an error made by Kuro. So unless that does change, and it most likely will, the hero is possibly not the same person as the Rover. But even with that, the Rover is still most likely the hero either way. The file also states that the hero fought and defeated a Tacit Discord who was speculated to be crownless by Yan Yan, and stood alongside Jue when the city of Jinzhou was founded. This can be related when the Rover met Jue in the Gorges of Spirits, and later confirmed by Jinshi. Now, I should mention that the battle mentioned took place many cycles ago, which is where we bring the ancient Chinese culture. Unless you're blind and deaf, in this case how are you watching or hearing this? Well, anyway, a lot of what is shown in Wuha is inspired by ancient China, so the cycles should also be similar to reality. In ancient China and the rest of East Asia, there is a thing called the sexagenary cycle, which states that a cycle is equal to 60 years. Now, it's specifically mentioned that Jinsho was founded after Crownless was defeated several cycles ago. We don't know how much is that several, but we can guess that Jinsho is about hundreds of years old. So if the Rover is the hero, then yeah, they are very old. Now, according to Jinshi, resonators do live longer than humans, but it's unnatural to live for hundreds of years, and thus proposes that the Rover must have fallen into a deep slumber one day until being awoken hundreds of years later. Which, I mean, we were asleep in space until waking up underwater and upside down, but never mind that. Let's move on to when the Rover met a member of the Factidus named Scar. When the Rover first met Scar, he said that both he and the Rover are black lambs, or rule breakers, and that the Rover was chosen to join the Factidus. He says that once the Rover finds out about their past, the Rover will join them without hesitation. Now, why would the Rover do that? They're a good guy. Well, it may have something to do with another organization called the Black Shores. The Black Shores focuses on researching the lament by making contact with many other cities and organizations around the world to bring world salvation. In a vision, Rover holds a black bloom flower held by many members of the Black Shores, giving evidence that they were a member of the Black Shore. According to Alto's story, Alto aids the organization by providing useful information until that person returns. That person most likely being the Rover, who was a member of the organization as seen by that flower. But why not just tell the Rover who they are if they know a lot about them, especially the fact that they are the hero who will save the world from the lament? Well, we now relate to what Scar said, that once the Rover finds out about their past, they will join the Factidus without hesitation. So, what if that information is very sensitive, which could lead to the Rover joining them, and the Black Shores are not willing to risk that? So, who is the Rover? Well, firstly, it is very obvious that the Rover is supposed to be the hero who first defeated Crownless in that battle hundreds of years ago. The hero who also had amnesia and was capable of consuming Threnodians. But now the question is, what happened in between, after defeating Crownless hundreds of years ago, up until them being with the goddess? Well, those questions will be answered when the official game comes out. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to not miss out on any other potential theories and lore bits of Wuha.